Allegedly, we are streaming live.
Yes.
Let's just make sure it is. Yeah, I always say it's always like launching a spacecraft. Okay, good. We got that. Let me plug this little phone in over here. It's the like when they were landing on Mars, the 7 minutes of terror. Here, this is like the 1 minute of terror getting things ready. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm live. Do you see it on my Facebook page? You can share it.
We are live.
There you go. Let me know when you are set.
Um, I'm certainly set, ready to go.
All right, wonderful. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Greetings and welcome to Psychic Mediums Live, where we talk about all things spiritual and paranormal. I'm your host, Kevin Paul. I'm a psychic and medium in Washington, D.C. And today, my special guest is Jason Goldsworthy, who is a psychic medium from England who now lives in Germany with his family. We met each other in 2019, actually, at the Arthur Findlay College in England, which is the prestigious school for psychics and the mediums. And he is a tutor and teacher of mediumship. And he's a certified speaker and mediumship demonstrator of the Spiritualist National Union, which is a religious organization that supports the spiritualist churches all across the UK. And they also do some training of spiritualist healers, spiritualist mediums, public speakers, teachers. It's a wonderful organization, which we'll find out about. And Jason and I have been actually in contact via, what everybody else has been doing, the social media network. And I've been following him with his meditations and his mediumship development chats on his Facebook and his YouTube pages. And today we're going to talk about his unique journey of becoming a spiritualist medium. And if you have any questions for us, please place them in the comment section. And after the interview, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to those questions and ask those questions for you. So welcome, Jason, and thank you for being on my show today.
Thank you, Kevin. It's good to be here.
It's wonderful to see you. It's been just a couple of years, a year and a half, right?
Yeah, year and a half. Feels like 2 years, maybe longer, but it's good to see you again, Kevin.
So how are things in Germany? Are you holding up and getting through the crazy pandemic?
Yeah, we're definitely holding up with this crazy pandemic. It's just what it is. All you got to do is wait until it blows over. You know,
Right.
like
And
any
then,
storm, right? You don't go out in the storm. You just wait till it blows over and then you
right.
go out, right?
And everyone has their own coping mechanisms and strategies and such. And it's just, yeah, it's crazy. Things are opening up here in America, and you said in Germany things are still a little closed out, right?
They are. They're very strict over here. Got everything closed down. You need to take a lot of tests, even to do shopping these days for a bit of clothes. You got to get a negative COVID test. But there are plans next week to open things up a little bit. So even here, things are changing.
Yay! And it's really wonderful when they do that. It's just just like getting a COVID test. Walking in, it's a special kind of ritual um, to go through these rites of passage during a pandemic. So I'm glad to hear things are opening up in Germany, because here in DC, it's Washington DC, it's basically wide open now. You don't have to wear a mask when you're outside walking, and it's
Wow.
up to the store owner or the restaurant owner whether they require you to have a mask when you enter.
Wow.
And it's on the honor system. So if you haven't been vaccinated, you should be wearing a mask. But here in America, we're not very good at following rules. I've learned. So it'll be very exciting. Just wait how much fun it is to kind of like get back to the way things used to be. So you guys are gonna love it.
Oh,
You
we're
guys,
looking forward to it. We certainly are looking forward to some freedom.
I know, some normality in everyone, and this is an experience that everyone has gone through, and it's just Absolutely amazing. Well, I'm so glad to be able to talk to you live here on Facebook. And this will be recorded. So if you're watching us not live, but you're watching us afterwards, it's going to be on Facebook and on our YouTube channels. So Jason, tell us about your journey in becoming a psychic and medium. How did you develop? What was your path? Because we all have a different way of getting here, don't we?
We certainly do. We certainly all have our different ways of getting here. And for me, it was probably different to most. For me, I first of all, I overworked myself, where a doctor said, I couldn't sleep, and he said, "Oh, have some sleeping tablets." And I didn't realise I was highly sensitive until he gave me those sleeping tablets. Before I know it, I was hallucinating, and I went back to the doctor, and he gave me some chill pills back then to relax me. That didn't help me because that was just that I had a reaction to those as well. In the end, the doctor found out he couldn't give me any tablets higher than a paracetamol. I mean, even a diclofenac, I don't know what that's called in your country. It's just a pain medication. If I take that, I'm walking in the clouds, right? That's how highly sensitive I was. I didn't know that until this moment happened, until I'd really got to that moment of like overworking. But those tablets, I mean, they pushed me over where I was like, suddenly I had to become aware of what is my reality now, right? Because I was overworked, I was overstressed, being highly sensitive. Really what I needed was a good holiday. But I didn't need any of those tablets that he gave me. But what happened was I ended up not being able to do my job before. I used to be a chef. I was working in some of the most five-star hotels and four-star deluxe hotels in London. I worked in restaurants. I became a very good chef. I'm a very good cook, Kevin. So if you ever have me over, you'll be lucky. Yeah, and but we worked. What did we do back then? We worked 70 hours. We worked at 70 hours a week. We went out and partied all night. So you burn the candle at both ends, and eventually something gives in, right? Well, that's basically what happened to me. That moment, I needed help. I was like, oh well. So I had to take time off. I needed to take time to recuperate myself. Then I got in contact with someone that did Reiki, and they did a Reiki healing on me. And for the first time, what I suddenly felt all this energy surge. I didn't realize I felt so much. They opened up my chakras, and when they opened up my heart chakra, I thought, I've arrived in a utopia, because I wasn't used to it. I was always used to my heart chakra being guarded. Being a man and being brought up in this world, you've got to be strong. And it suddenly opened up, and I ended up ringing the guy up and saying, I don't know what you've done to me. I said, but you got to ground me or something. You got to do something to me, because I can't work like this. I feel like I'm on a high. So the guy sent me distant healing, and he taught me how to ground myself. And I think I grounded myself about 3 times back then. So I thought, I need to learn about this energy, because now everything's energy, right?
Right.
So I was like, I really need to learn about it. So I became eventually a Reiki master. And what I found, the moment I started doing healings on people, the spirit world turned up behind me, and I'm going, what's this? What's going on? I think the first time one turned up behind me, who's that guy behind me? And I didn't know, and I thought there's someone there. So I tried to do a 5-mile jog to get rid of them, or 5 kilometers jog to get rid of them. When I got back home, they were still there. I thought, this is strange. So then began my journey of like, I need to visit people and ask them what is going on with me. And it was like through this awakening moment, I got in contact with some pretty decent mediums, and they could tell me, well, that's your people trying to think. You have a talent. You can develop this. Obviously, there were moments when I was a child as well where I saw spirit around my bed, and I had those moments. But I closed it all down back then, you see, because my parents didn't understand. They were like, what do you mean there's people in the room? Every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd wake them up and say, look, there's people in my room, and they're walking out of the closet, And in the end, they just said, look, you're just going to have to put a cushion over your head, go to sleep, and don't say anything. And so I learned not to make them angry at 3 o'clock in the morning, because after 2 weeks of me doing that in an old house or a new house that we'd moved to, anyone with that amount of lack of sleep would not be very happy with me waking them up.
No.
But I was well aware that they were there. I could feel them. For me, they were just people back then. But I closed all that down. So that was in the beginning of my first experience with the spirit world. Then I closed all that down. Then this experience happened with the doctors and the tablets and the overwork, where I had this awakening. And this awakening that I realized everything is energy. There's more between spirit and earth. And then after that, when I got to a point where I could do a lot of healing for other people, my brother died. And when my brother died, it was really strange, because I heard he was passed to the spirit world, and I travelled to England, and I felt, I kept thinking I could hear him whispering in my ear. I couldn't understand why. And one minute we were planning to go to his funeral, and the whole house was empty, and eventually I felt him standing behind me, and there was this arm behind me, like giving me a hug, and I was looking, and so it wasn't a medium that proved to me that the spirit world existed, Kevin. It was the spirit world themselves. When I had these awakening moments, like through my life, and then with my brother passing, it was very sad, but at the same time, he couldn't keep a secret. My brother could never keep a secret. The moment he died and passed to the spirit world, the first thing he wanted to do was let me know, guess what? Life continues, right? And I'm like,
Interesting.
oh, okay, life continues. But he woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a song, Everessence. I don't know if you know it, Waking Up Inside. That was his favourite music. I didn't know this music. But I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning, and I could feel this music running through my body, like it was like just like it was just the whole vibration of it, and all I could hear was wake me up inside. So I had to wait until about 5 o'clock in the morning before I could wake my sister up, and I woke her up and said, "You've got to look through his CDs, because he's given me this music.
Right.
He's given me this music. Wake me up, wake me up. It's something like this," and it goes, wow, like that. And she says, "What do you mean, wow?" I said, "Yeah, it's the guitar, wow." And it's like got wake me up inside. It's quite heavy music. And she looked through his CDs, and she would play it. And the moment she played that music, I suddenly could find peace. And the amazing thing was, Kevin, he woke me up that night. He woke my sister up the next night with a different song. He woke my wife up the night after with a different song. He chose his music for his funeral after he'd passed the spirit world. We played all of the music that he brought through after he passed to the spirit world.
Now that's beautiful. How old were you? How old were you at that time?
I'm going back a bit now. I was about 30, 35.
Okay, so your journey, began in your 30s, right?
It began in the beginning of my 30s. That's when it started really coming into like the awakening moment. Yeah.
You would have to excuse me. I think someone is working outside my window. Can you hear that noise?
Not
Okay,
much.
good.
A little bit, but
I'm like, oh God, doing these live shows. It's like, then there's a jackhammer outside the building. And I'll mute myself when you're talking, but that's amazing. And everyone has a different story. And this is, I'm sure people are going to really appreciate your journey and how it just unfolds, and then how when we were younger, how it spontaneously pops up and how it kind of spooks us. Then we can close it down, and then we forget about it, and then it comes back again. So that's the same theme as in my life as well, where things got a little too crazy in my 20s, and I thought, when not being coached and having the right tutor, you're like, oh, what's going on? I don't like this. I don't like seeing, knowing when people are going to die in my dreams, and the next day waking up, oh yeah, that person was so-and-so's, mother, she just died, and I just talked about her, a few days ago. So I was like, I'm going to shut this off and grow up a little bit and live life, and then come back to it, naturally. So, folks, you know, I know if you guys have gotten some crazy things going on and then had to shut it off, just know that when it's the right time, you can open it right back up with either an event or with your own intention. Wouldn't you agree, Jason?
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, with me, it just took a healing, and really, just a bit of energy shifted my awareness back to my possibilities. But yeah, you can do this with meditations or sitting in the power, or you can find your journey of opening up in any way. So if someone shut it down, they can definitely open it up again, Kevin.
So, what are your clairs? When someone talks about, people, our abilities, what are your natural abilities that you've uncovered and figured out? Obviously, you've got some clairvoyance.
Yes, absolutely. For me, clairvoyance was a very strong ability for me in my mediumship. So I was like seeing spirit, perceiving spirit. And what was really fascinating for me with clairvoyance was I realized that our third eye is 360 degrees. So I could be looking forwards, but seeing someone over here, seeing someone over here, seeing someone over there. So it's like that's clairvoyance. And so it's like we think, oh, our third eye only looks forward, but it doesn't. It looks 360 degrees. So yeah, clairvoyance was something that was very strong. I relied on my clairvoyance in the beginning of my journey, but yeah, then the clairsentience had to open up, that sensitivity. And I think one of the when that opened up, it was like one of those moments where I thought, am I really that sensitive? Am I really that
I know.
vulnerable? Right?
I
And
remember that feeling too. It's like, oh God, I really am an empath. And this
yeah,
is, just our sensitivity and we thought anxiety. Oh no, this is just your sensitivity overreacting to certain situations, right?
yeah, and I remember that opening up, and I was like, "Whoa!" And the people were like, "Oh, you're oversensitive." I mean, my dad used to say to me as a child, "Come on, man up." So it's like, oh, but it was something that was a part of me my whole life. That sensitivity, that clairsentience, right? But yeah, so I have the clairsentience, I have the clairvoyance, clairaudience will come in now and again. Names will come in, sometimes places, or I might even hear sentences that I'll just repeat, and it's just something that's coming in now. And this has been in the development of the 20 years, right? So it's like it's from the moment
Right.
I got into contact with the energy. And I was on my searching for mediumship, because I didn't really start my training until later on, but I was certainly aware of the spirit world, right? But yeah, so it's the whole journey now, that that clairaudience is coming in, that hearing the spirit world. Obviously, I've had it at times, and I suppose people out here have had it before. You're walking along in a corridor. I used to do night shift, and all of a sudden I hear Jason, and I'm like, who said that? Who said that? So I've been doing my night shift because I used to be a male nurse, and I'm like, someone's calling my name. And these moments, like, so I knew it was there, but it never came through my mediumship until later on. And I guess these things unfold,
Right.
as you well know, right? They blossom in
Right.
that way. But those three are the main things. Sometimes I do taste, because I used to be a chef. If I ever get someone that used to cook in the spirit world, they might even let me taste the
Oh,
recipes. And that's
oh, that's
something that
cool.
will,
That's
yeah.
cool.
So I'll be like, I know they use brown sugar and cinnamon in that. So I'll be like, so it's not good, because afterwards, after I've done a contact like that, I just get so hungry. Um, so but that's also something that is opened up in my clairs.
So clairvoyance, you're objective and subjective clairvoyant. You're able to see outside of your body as well as seeing in your mind, right? Both.
That's sometimes it's like mainly I'm seeing clairvoyant inside of myself, but
Okay.
I can be aware. Oh, there's someone standing there, and it'd be like a 2 second flash outside of myself, and I know they're there.
Okay.
So some people, they'll see the spirit world. They'll be like, "Oh, I see them standing there, just like you're sitting in front of me." I don't have that. I used to have that when I was younger, but now I just have that 2 seconds. I only need 2 seconds, and I know they're there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know that.
That's it's so amazing, and it's all so individual. You've got to get comfortable with what your skills are. Just like with, an athlete, what are their skills? They know how to play the game, but they're really good at this, and this.
Well,
And
there was one time in the Arthur Finley I got a laugh because I was being at the moment they were just checking to see what my demonstrating was like, and all of a sudden I made a joke because I was like, all of a sudden I said, I don't know, it looks like the police have turned up, and there was a guy standing at the front of the sanctuary, and I just thought, whoa, policeman! It looks like the police have turned up. So then I made a joke, and then I had to find what does this mean? How does this person feel, right? So it was one of those moments. But obviously the police were in the spirit world. This policeman, he was a military police, but I didn't know that I could see that clairvoyant. But like I said, in 2 seconds you can see everything, like the clothes, everything.
right, you get that quick download, right?
Yeah, a quick
It is
download.
it is amazing to be able to, and when I teach my students, okay, you're going to get information, you get a little bit of, you know, vision, the clairvoyance, maybe you'll get a sense of, and you'll feel it, or you'll sense it, or you'll hear it. It just comes all in bits and pieces, and you put the entire thing together. It's not like people think, oh, I'm going to get the entire thing through one sense. No, just like the way we interact through the world, we're perceiving the world using our many, physical senses, but our ethereal senses, the same thing. You'll get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You can now going to feel them after you've got the initial visual. It is truly amazing
Yeah.
to go through it and to understand that that's the way it works.
Absolutely. And the thing about what you said about the clairvoyance being you can see it inside, but also outside, right? Objectively, it's the same with the clairsentience, the feelings. Like sometimes I can really feel the spirit world coming close, and I suddenly feel the arm of the spirit person. I'll feel that they're wearing a watch, or they'll be wearing a brooch, or they'll be wearing a tie. It's like you can feel the quality of the clothes. And these moments, it's like where the clairsentience, it's almost like you become the spirit world. You can feel how their presence was, and that then it slides on into that knowing, that claircognizance of like you just know. It's like you get into some sort of flow, and in the middle of my contacts, whenever I'm doing a demonstration, and you've probably got this as well, Kevin, is like then I don't know how it's coming in. It's just one big flow, and it just comes through. And at the end, I'm like, I don't know what I did, but it must have been good because everyone looks happy.
Thank God that they do, right?
Yeah, right.
Wonderful. Jason, you're a member of the Spiritualist Church, aren't you?
Yeah, the Spiritualist National Union. Yes.
National Union. What is that? That's something that we here in America we're not as familiar with, if at all. Can you
Yeah.
tell everyone what that is, and how you're involved with it?
Well, the Spiritualist National Union is an organisation it was set up in about 1902 or something like that. It actually got established around that time, so it's been around quite a long time. And it was set up as a union, but for the religious aspects of spiritualism. Right now, it's been set up for so long, and it was actually a belief system that was more radical than like the Catholic Church or the Protestant Church or any other church, because it was like they believed in an afterlife, and they believed that spirit could communicate, and they believed in the sense that spirit can come closer and you can bring through messages. So when I heard about this, I was like, that sounds like a better fit for me, because I was brought up a Catholic, and in my Catholic upbringing, you weren't supposed to be talking to the spirit world. You weren't supposed to be doing stuff. So I was like, I think I've outgrown my old faith. I think I did that when I was 15, and I went into party mode, by the way. But
Right.
that's what I mean. But then then you shift. Then I shifted into it, and then I realised that this was something that could resonate with me, because they believed in an afterlife, and it was also part of their service. So a spiritualist SNU service will be, you have the prayers, you'll have like inspired speaking or an address, and then you have like the demonstration of mediumship. And when I went into one of these spiritualist churches for the first time and I saw this, I was like, nah, this just really resonates with me. I don't know why. I don't know why it did, but it did. And I had a feeling of coming home. It was just like going to the Arthur Findlay College when I went there, and we've been to services there. We've actually been together to these services. We've
Right.
seen them, and it was like, wow, this is just like coming home. It's that feeling in your soul that you know you're coming home. So the Spiritualist National Union, not only do they support all churches and online the SNUI, which is the international, but they also have a way of doing qualifications so that you can become accredited in speaking and demonstrating.
Great.
Now, I started my journey, I think probably about 7 years ago, of 7 years ago doing this. But I know people can do it in about 1 to 2 years. But I was just someone that I wanted to do it the right way. There's a lot of people that did these things online, and I was like, I'm not going to do it online. I want to do it in person. So I was traveling backwards and forwards to England to do demonstrating, to do speaking, to do stuff, to get the things signed off that you need to get signed off in
Oh,
your
right,
book.
right.
And then you get accredited, and then you come before a board, and the board will assess you on your abilities as a medium in doing mediumship, but also in doing speaking. And there's normally about 3 people that will do that, and when they do that, then you receive your certificate. Then you've received that qualification. So yeah, the Spiritualist National Union, it's a beautiful religion that really, spiritualism itself is a beautiful religion that really, is a very supportive one, and is a movement into what they call modern day spiritualism. You see, so and I'm sure in America they have a spiritualist or spiritualist movement, but it's not similar to the English movement. I
No,
know I
no.
know that the principles are different and in some way, but yeah,
And they add Christianity. I think they combine the Christian service with the spiritualist church.
yeah,
And I remember that's my early training in the late 80s was at a spiritualist church in Washington, D.C. And it was a bit of that Christian and then overlay that spiritualist. I think in England there's no Christianity mentioned in your service, correct? Or is
no,
it
it's not normally used. In
okay?
some it is, like, because every spiritualist church ever got their choice, they might like to do
Sure.
the old hymns from before, and some people
Right.
like to do the old hymns. But when you come to a modern day spiritualist church, which is part of the norm, normally they just play upbeat, good singing music. People will sing
Right.
along. It's normally got a theme to it, and it all just flows.
Hmm.
But
It is.
it doesn't normally have Christianity in it, obviously. But
I do remember at the Arthur Fitting College, it was a non-Christian
yeah,
service, and
yeah,
with it was just different. It was really nice because I know here we're more combining the two, but I'm
yeah,
sure there's a few kind of like that, but it's a little different here, and that's where I got my initial training. It was the old-fashioned way back in the day in the late 80s, where the development class was in the dark with the medium, trance channeling and lights out, maybe a trumpet or two. It was just like the old squad. Like I actually had that opportunity to, witness it. It took me a while to get through oh my God, I'm in the dark and these different voices are coming through this medium until settle down and say, okay, what's the message? What are they saying? So it was definitely the old school back in the day. But then I like it now. This is a new perspective. Everything is done in the light. Um,
yes,
and so it's different, and I think it's better from a credibility standpoint when dealing with psychic and mediumship development. It was the old days. So I've witnessed that, or that stuff that people have read about. I'm like, oh my God, I kind of witnessed it. It was kind of interesting.
wow. So
Very,
I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I'm interested about that. So, what did you witness, Kevin? you know,
you know,
you see,
well, the whole thing with the channeling when you're actually, the medium is sitting there. He's the teacher of the course, and the lights go out, and then he goes into trance, and his spirit guide, the one who is the gatekeeper, comes through, just like Gordon. And then the different teachers come through to teach, and they have different things to say, and you're sitting in the dark with your little recorder, just kind of listening to the lecture. One time the trumpet made its appearance, and where they're using the trumpet back in the old days, the spiritualists say they were using trumpets as the microphone. Yeah, and that scared the hell out of me. The complete dark. So it was a matter of the lecture in the dark, with the different voices coming through, and the gatekeeper saying, okay, now I have this one coming through. It was very entertaining, and I can see how people were entertained. And I was just a young lad back then, so it was overwhelming, and I'm developing and opened up, and so things are going a little crazy for me. And that's where I wish I had some nice one-on-one training and smaller group training, and we both share the passion of teaching others about mediumship and spirituality. And I really wish that was the way it was back in the day, but it was a little different. So can you tell everyone about your mediumship development program? Because it's unique.
Sure.
You have your own brick and mortar, right?
Yeah.
A location as well in Germany.
I do. I mean, I have a center here in Germany where I used to teach a lot of groups live.
Oh, it's coming back. It's coming back.
It is coming back, but I mean, I must say, I've lost a lot of live students because of the situation.
Of course.
But a lot of people have been able to make the transition online, which is really a good thing. But there's a lot of people that didn't want to make that transition, and everyone to their own. But yes, I do have a live center, and I have different rooms in it. One room is where I do my private sittings. The other one is where I do my healing. I have another room where I do my lectures and I do my teaching. And we've also got a lovely kitchen there where everyone can have coffee and biscuits, in the break time. So it's just a really beautiful space we have here in Lager, which is just a lovely small place on the border of Germany and Holland. So I do have a lot of Dutch students that come over and visit me, and I have a few German students as well. So it's good, but I've changed everything online. Well, obviously when this pandemic happened, and now but I did have a few things online, but now I have my mentorships online. I have a mentorship for mediumship online, and I have a mentorship for trance also online. And I do a lot of little workshops, like I'm doing workshop in symbols this month, and I'll do a different every time I do something different, just to let people know. But on the mentorships I have a belief that, we were talking about the clairs, every medium works different. So what I try to do is coach them through that difference, and to believe in that difference, to bring that to the beginning of their mediumship journey. Like before, when I was trained, it had to be done this way, and you had to either be a seer, you have to see pictures. If you don't see pictures, and I've met mediums, they can't even see pictures. All they can do is feel. Right. So they never learn anything in these clairvoyance classes. So I realized on my journey that if I was going to teach mediumship, I need to be able to teach every faculty and be open to everyone being able to nourish that and bring that forward and believe in it. And I'm very lucky this last 1 year, 1.5 years that it's been online, and I've met so many students that have really had a lot of success just in 1 year in their confidence in communicating with the spirit world. And with the trance, you were talking about trance circles. Well, when they do the trance mediumship with me, I say to them, well, I create circles, online circles in Zoom. So this is your circle and this is your circle. And we had 2 circles going the whole year round. And wow, did they develop in a year. Because they sat every week with each other. Some of them were sitting every week with each other. And the people that put in the effort, their trance developed amazingly in a year. And I said to them, I can teach you once a month trance, but really you need to sit. if you really want to make that really to the next level. So these trance circles, they're still going on. I mean, they've become really good friends.
Mm.
So it's a wonderful to see how they, just develop.
That's amazing. And I do the same thing. Make sure the student, first of all, I do an abilities consultation, um, and then say, this is your primary. Right now, because this can change, this is your primary, these are your secondaries. This is the terminology. This is what it means. And so when they're learning to read, I tell it's going to come in many different ways. And so we review readings. Okay, when you did this psychometry or when you did this reading of a photograph of a person, this is what you got. How did you get it? How did you get this? Did you see it? Did you feel it? Did you just know it? And it makes them understand, oh, I'm gathering it so many different ways. And that's the natural way of doing it. And then say, oh, I'm really I'm just knowing, my claircognizance seems to be, more accurate when I'm doing these, so you have to practice, as you know, teaching students to practice to understand what your strong points are, how to understand when your active mind is trying to jump in there and try to fill in the blanks, or when you've lost a connection. Oh, well, then the active mind, well, then she must love to cook and clean, and she was a housewife, and like, oh no, my mother, like my mother was not the best as a cook. So it's really fun, and I'm sure you get lots of joy from helping and seeing people develop and seeing their confidence grow, because we all were scared to death, and are nervous, even today before doing things. Like I did a Zoom mediumship event, my first time doing Zoom, where there were 20 people in front of me. And I was just, we can do the work, but this is a different venue. So you kind of have to get comfortable. What do I need to do to kind of get comfortable in this particular setting versus standing in front of a crowd of people? So I still get nervous at times, doing unusual things, and Zoom certainly was one of them, where I realized, I think I have to kind of like take my gaze off the the magical screen to get a download and then come back. So it's definitely, this has really pushed us as teachers and mediums, this whole world of online and not doing it in person, not being able to do it one-on-one or a group. Have you found you've grown quite a bit during this year and a half?
Absolutely. I'm going to have to do some trimming down. The COVID pounds have got to come off a bit. But
Right.
no, in my mediumship, I have, and in these Zoom rooms, I hear you, because I was there when I was doing my first demonstration on Zoom, and I'm like, right. And then you got to flick through the pages, like, now where's my recipient? I'm not seeing everything. Oh, Zoom's moved everyone around. So like you, I had to like change and shift to the idea, okay, what's spirit giving me? This is what I've got to trust. Someone should understand this information. And taking the eyes off the picture of Zoom, that helps. Even though people think you're looking at them, you're actually just looking at the spirit world and just receiving your downloads, your information, and then giving it. So yeah, I've grown a lot in this last year. I found that because we've been so secluded, everyone's been going within my development within the mediumship. It's become more sensitive. It's become more listening to what's going on in the spirit world, because instead of going to demonstrations and traveling 1.5 hours, 2 hours to get there, or a flight maybe 13 hours to go to Vancouver or something to do workshops and demonstrate, you do it all from your home. So it's like there's no jet lag. You just walk into your office. I'm in my office now, and you arrive and you said, okay, let's work. And it's so the development is learning from, okay, you can just walk in and work, because and you've got this. You've seen these videos on homeschooling, like you're working and then suddenly you've got a digger outside, or suddenly the door goes and there's I've just printed something out from a school. Can you just give me that? And you're like, yeah, okay, right. Here's your print. Let me just continue with your reading. So that sort of thing, where you said you've learned not to lose the connection to try, and then internet problems. I've had to boost up my internet as well to make sure that it's stable. all that sort of
Right.
thing. Especially with when you've got the two kids homeschooling, and then your wife's doing some marketing downstairs, and then I'm wanting to do a video conference, and then you're like, I'm upstairs, so like I've got the least amount coming upstairs. It's all these becoming adaptable. But I have noticed in this last year, Kevin, that more of the hearing spirit has been coming through, more of the claircognizance has been coming through, just knowing has been coming through, and trusting, because I find those Zoom demonstrations that we do, I find I used to practice blindfolded doing demonstrations, so I just like, maybe I'll close my eyes for a few seconds, or not, like I'm not looking at the screen. I just look out the window, and I'll be listening to spirit. So it's like I'm doing it blindfolded without looking. You see,
Right. Smart
so
idea.
yeah, yeah, and
Just
I
slightly look away. I've done one of those blindfold and they're terrifying because it's like, it's really forces you to focus on other aspects um, of
yeah,
your skills, and it's just like,
yeah,
wow. But that's what I tell my students. It's important to put yourself in different situations to be able to fine tune your abilities, and rather than always sitting in that one location, that one chair. That's where I always do my readings. It's like, okay, I just did a psychic fair. Virginia had a live psychic fair, a week and a half ago. People sitting in front of me with masks, but it was back to normal of face to face and doing
wow,
connections. And it's so much nicer to be that, you know,
yeah,
face to face or in a group and reading that energy. It's a little easier, even though this stuff transcends, space and time. it's
yeah.
it's nicer to have that person near you, or talking with them.
Oh,
But
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I loved my demonstrations that I've done in Ireland, England, and Holland, Germany, all these different countries. But when you've got that physical presence of an audience and you do a demonstration, it's like suddenly things become electric, and it's like, wow, we're like, you're ready to go. And on Zoom, you're like, I've got to keep this going. It's like you've got to have more of your own power. Like, I've got to keep this going. Come
and
on.
everyone's muted, so it's really dead silent, and it's just like, oh god, this is would someone cough, please?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us, what do you think is the most important thing for a beginner in or a developing medium? What do they need to understand? What's the most important thing that they should understand?
I think for me, and this is, I didn't learn the way I would have liked to learn. I would say learn a lot about yourself, right? Our greatest gifts is ourself, our own body, our own feelings, our mind, everything that we know about ourself. The spirit world can use in our mediumship. And the moment that we understand, like, God, I'm like, just like me mentioned, so sensitive, I'm feeling so sensitive, then when you ever get somebody from the spirit world that is so sensitive, you know, and that's when the claircognizance comes through you. You know that. So all the experiences that you've ever had in your life, if you've made peace with them, you can bring that information through. I used to grieve my brother, so I couldn't bring through brothers in the spirit world.
Mm.
Because I've made peace with that, and I've found, I can accept that grief. That inner knowing, that self development in myself. Then I was like, oh, then I could bring through brothers, and now I can bring through difficult accidents and difficult things because of the acceptance of it. But when things, sometimes things get close to home, you'll get a contact, you'll get, like, you'll get a father, and the father was very strict, and suddenly you get remembered of your own father. Oh God, and you tend to constrict your feelings. Suddenly your mediumship doesn't flow. So it's about that self development, like letting go, accepting yourself as, where are your constrictions, what is holding you back. I know there's not a lot of mediumship groups that do self-awareness, because if you do a body scan of yourself now, you say, this is how I feel, and then a spirit person comes, you do another body scan, you feel different, and you're like, okay, now I know I'm wearing a watch, and now I know I'm doing. So this is becoming that awareness. So for beginners, self-awareness and trusting that you're not crazy, that it is something that you can develop. And yes, there'll probably be 75% of the people out there that will probably think you're crazy. You need to you need to get some help. That's the mentality of people. But it's knowing that mediumship is a God given talent. It's a talent just like playing a musical instrument, just like football, just like any other talent. You've been gifted with it. You have it, and when you can trust it, then you can make the first steps toward it. And anyone that's just beginning, I say, get yourself into a circle, get yourself into some sort of training, because I found in the beginning, the moment I began training, I could deal with it more. Like you were saying, you're like, oh God, how am I going to deal with all this? I'm going to have to find my own way. I had that moments to myself that I need to get myself trained so that I can understand exactly how it works, because my mind's like that. Now, for people that are further along, I'd say to them, the most things I find that people are further along in their beginning, they start to doubt. The biggest thing I find with students is doubting themselves. And I'm like, don't doubt yourself. Like if you can, in your lifetime, you've probably doubted yourself at school, you've doubted yourself in life, you've doubted yourself at work, but mediumship is working through energy. So the moment you doubt yourself, your energy goes ooh, down like that. So really, you just got to say, it's like enjoy the moments of success, and that's what I can say. Every moment, I do say to students, I want you to write down every moment you get a success, and when you get a no or you get it wrong, write down that's just a learning point.
Oh, I love no's, to learn from the
Yeah, it's
no's.
a learning point, right?
You're right. Oh, I love it. I love it. Um, we've talked about the language of spirit. What do you mean? The language of spirit.
The language of spirit. Yeah, I did a YouTube video on the language of spirit, and basically, someone was asking me. They were saying to me, the spirit communicators, because now via Zoom I communicate with people in different countries, in New Zealand, Australia, and I'm bringing through loved ones from where was it from Italy and from different countries, and they speak, and even Finland. I went to Finland, did this demonstration, and they speak different languages. And someone asked me this question, said, "But how do you communicate with them if they speak a different language?" And so I explained to them in that is I communicated with them through the feelings of my soul. So that's the communication. And in the communicating with the spirit world, it doesn't matter if they spoke a different language, you understand the information. So when I was in Finland, I was hearing someone giving me the information the way it would normally come through all my six senses. I would translate that into what I know as my best English, being as I'm British. And my translator would translate that into Finnish and give it to the audience. And then the audience would go, I don't know what they say. I don't know whether there's a yeah or no, I don't know what they say, whether it's a yes or a no or a yeah. But and then they'd confirm it. And what I found was, because I was excited because it was something new, like it's like, how am I going to do it? Will they understand me?
How am I going to do it?
How am I going to do it? But the spirit world of the Finnish people, when I was there, it was like they just supported me. Like the spirit world supported me. The contacts I gave supported me. It was like, whoa! I just felt a lot of love from the spirit world and how they communicated. So this language of spirit, it's not like we think, oh, we're thinking Italian. I gave an Italian a contact the other day, and they could speak good English, thank God. So I didn't have to speak Italian, but they did bring through the name in Italian, which and they also brought through some words in Italian that he would have said, and I was like, something to do with this that sounds like, right? Because my Italian, my wife will vouch for this, is not good. But the stuff I was bringing through was something that was to them. So the thing is to remember the language of spirit is basically it's the connection of the bridge of love. Like, if a loved one from the spirit world is coming to communicate to you, as you know, Kevin, your love for that person in the spirit world is the connection through me, the medium, to them. So that frequency of love is the frequency of communication. So that language is that bridge of love. So all you do is when I connect to the spirit world, and when I teach my students to connect to spirit, just communicate and just feel what's coming through. That's the first aspect. And if things develop from that, then you will see the senses will open up and the feelings will open up, and then your clairvoyance will open up, and other aspects will open up. But this language, it doesn't matter what language it could be Chinese, it could be any language. Mediumship is so universal that you can pick up information for anyone from any language.
And that's what is amazing. When I first realized that, oh, I don't speak German, but your grandmother, didn't speak English, but I'm getting an amazing download of who she was, what her personality was like, what did she like to do, through images, through sensing, through knowing, rather than hearing. So it gets all sorted out, doesn't it, in our connection.
And what's funny about saying the language is like, you don't know what it is. Like, I'm seeing this machine, and they're like, if you've never seen a pasta machine, and he's like, I'm seeing this machine. It's like silver, and they're doing this, and like the stuff coming out of it, and then she's cooking with it, and they go, oh yeah, that's the pasta machine, and like, what? I didn't know that. Or we all have in this modern day diffusers, right? Diffusers, the language of spirit. If you were trying to bring through a diffuser for a country that didn't have diffusers, you couldn't explain it. So you say, I know there was something in the background that made some sort of smoky sort of thing. And so we can only give what we see and what we feel. And I find that, that's the thing we've got to remember with the language of spirit. We might not get it because we haven't actually learnt about it. When I went to Finland, I didn't know Finnish. I didn't know...
hard language.
It's a hard language. And I didn't know what they were, but I did know, because I was given a Finnish book. She said, read this book. Well, I couldn't read it because it was in Finnish, but I could look at, traditional costume in Finland in the north, traditional costume Finland in the south. And because I'd looked up that reference, right, in my demonstration in Finland, I was there saying, I've got a grandfather here and he's standing here. I know he came from the north of Finland. I'm seeing him dressed in the traditional costume, and he's showing me that he was ice fishing. Now, I've never been to Finland. I didn't know that they did ice fishing there, but they do. And he showed me he lived in a cabin in the north. And someone put their hand up. Yes, my grandfather wore those traditional clothes back then. He did have a cabin in the north of Finland, and he did do the ice fishing.
Right.
Now, I would have never have got that if I hadn't looked in that book. So for people developing, I'd say, like, if you're going to a different country, just look in a book, try and get some idea of areas, of names, or places, or visuals of what's, because they can use anything. Like, you could be driving on the way to your demonstration. Suddenly you see a really beautiful church, and you go, oh, that's a beautiful church. And you go along a little bit further, and you might see, oh, I'm seeing a farmland. Someone's farming on the land. And as you get to your demonstration, suddenly you're bringing through people. And they're like, I need to talk about a church. I need to talk about... So it's like spirit are giving us images before we work. And it's becoming aware of these things. So when you walk by, Johnson & Johnson, and you'll be like, okay, so you get to your demonstration, I've got to talk about something to do with the name Johnson. So these things can happen before your demonstration. So any preparation you can do, like reading names in books or stuff like that, and you're just flicking through what names or whatever, or any information we have learned, the spirit world can use. But like I said, remember this: try explaining a diffuser to a country that never had seen a diffuser.
Right.
Yeah, right.
That's not going to work.
It's not going to work. So when our mediumship doesn't work, it's not because it's not working. It's because we can't explain
Right.
what we're receiving.
It is.
How often does it happen? Like you get, I know this guy did something with his hands. It's like I know he did a mechanical, but
Yeah. Oh, I get mechanical stuff, and I'm not mechanical, so I'm just kind of getting, a sense of movement, or
yeah,
and it's just like, oh, I wish I knew, or like, so that's when it comes to mechanical stuff, I'm like, or cars, I see a car, I'm like, I have no idea what kind of car this is, but I'll
yeah,
give you a sense of it. And then, one of my tutors was like, now get into the car. What was that car important? Was it fun? Was it a utility vehicle? Was it something, now do I see you sitting in it? Is it something you went on a special trip? So I realized that's what I need to do, since I'm not very good at saying, oh, that's a Buick from 1940 something or other. So that's not one of my specialties, is identifying those kind of things. But
yeah.
that's what training does. The tutor is going to say, now get into the car. What's going
Exactly,
on? Fish with that person. What do you feel? And
exactly.
that's where Arthur Findlay College, really kind of opened my world, a little deeper. Pulled the curtain back, step
Yeah.
into it, is what I've learned from there with Jackie
Absolutely.
and her little crew.
Oh, absolutely. It's like immersing yourself in the spirit world for a week or two,
For a
right?
week, and I'm going back on October. I've signed up for the first week of October. We'll see.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's they haven't, they're going to try to start. I imagine it'll be successful. If not, they just, we'll go to November. But yeah, it looks like they're thinking maybe September, October reopening there at the Arthur Findlay.
Oh, that
But
would be nice.
wouldn't it be nice to get there?
Yeah, it would
And
be.
when I was there, and I hear it a lot, is people talking about sitting in the power. Can you explain what this is and what its purpose? How does one sit in the power? Because I know it's an important tool, but it's a tough word when people say, go ahead and sit in the power. I'm like, okay, what do I do? Why do I do it? How do I do it? How do I know I'm even there when I'm sitting in it? Can you
Exactly.
tell us about that, Jason?
I could, and I know there's different people that teach sitting in the power, and everyone will have their own experience. But basically, it's about getting in touch with your own soul's energy and empowering that energy, that you can get a feel of how your soul's emanation feels, and empowering that into your aura. And in doing that, if you do that in the right way, you can feel an energetic shift where you're just like, emanating this energy and light out of your body. And it shouldn't be like a meditation. Like people say, is it a meditation? It should be, an empowerment should be like a movement of energy, right? It
Right.
should be like an explosion within inside of your soul, moving it out into your aura and just sitting there. And then you can feel the power of you, right? That's the first aspect. Now, I know there's another aspect where then they'll connect the energy to the divine light and they'll say, now you can feel the power of the combined two, the divine energy and your own energy. And then there's an explosion of energy that happens then, and that raises your frequency, which is very good for sitting in the power and feeling that beautiful empowerment with your own empowerment, but also with a divine empowerment at the same time. And it's all about feeling. And some people say, I can't see the energy. I said, it's okay if you can feel it, it's also good. I can't feel it. Well, it's okay if you can imagine it, it's also good. To know that you're in it is, for someone that's highly sensitive, it's really easy. They're like, wow, after the first time, it's amazing, I could feel it. But people that need to build on that sensitivity, they'll be like, I know I'm sitting and I know I'm sitting in it. I can't quite see it, but I'm feeling a tingling somewhere, right? And
Mhm.
it just takes time. The more that you do it, what this does, the sitting in the power, is it opens up your sensitivity. It will open up your pineal gland and your pineal gland, and it will make your third eye open more, and your senses will open up more. And that's what you've got to you got to look at. But this is what mediums used to do when they went to the Arthur Findlay years ago, and you talked about Gordon Higginson, and this is what I've heard through tutors before is they'd come to him and say, "Could you train me as a medium?" And he'll say, "Right, I want you to sit in the power for a year, and then I want you to come back, and then we'll see what we can do with you." And that's how they used to do it. And they used to say, look, go into circle and sit in circle in the power for a year. And when you've done that, come back. But in our modern day world, what we want to do is we're like, oh, let's get up and do this mediumship. You got any work for us? Can we do some practicing? Have you got anything? Can we make a connection? Can we do a double link? And then most of the people that come to me with problems within their mediumship, I'm like, if you sat in the power every day, these problems would dissolve. Like 90% of the problems that people have been coming to me with, I can't reach this or I can't understand this. So if you sit in the power every day, you will notice that empowerment will get bigger in yourself, your strength of your mediumship will get bigger, and your understanding of the spirit world. Because look at it like this. Your frequency is here as a normal human, right? And if we sit in the power every day, we're going to raise our frequency.
Right.
Now the spirit world's frequency is here. So if we're normal and we want to get from here to here, it's a long way to go, right? But if we've been sitting in the power every day, we're like, oh, we're raising our frequency. We haven't got far to go to get that connection to the spirit world. And in that way, that's what makes the strength of the contact more. And that's what brings through the energy of the spirit world more as well.
That's well explained. Now, how long does one sit in the power? What do you recommend?
Well, to start with, I mean, it depends. I mean, I know people, they say to me, I can't sit in the power, I haven't got enough time. Like, everyone's busy. So I made an empowerment for 5 minutes on my YouTube and a 10-minute one and a 20-minute one. And I said, well, if you do the 5-minute one and you want more, do the 10-minute one as well. But you got to build that up to about half an hour. That's what I did. I mean, for all the 3 years that I was continually developing my mediumship, I was sitting, I'll say almost every day, because even I'd get to a point where, I didn't sit in the power today. But I had to make a routine where I did it. So I'd give myself a 30-day challenge. I'm going to sit in the power every day for 30 days. And that's what I did. And I'd mark it off. And then after the 30 days, I did well. I'd give myself a week off and I'd do it again. And that's how I got myself through the three years of really pushing myself to sit in the power. But back in the day when I was really got into this learning mediumship, everyone had all these practice groups. Now, we didn't have Zoom back then. I mean, our internet here was like, it was terrible. So, it was like you could dial up. By the time you got contact, you could have made a cup of coffee, 3-course meal and everything by the time you got contact with the internet, right? And let alone get a Zoom call going. Our internet couldn't do that. And plus, there was no practice circles in the area. None at all. So I was sitting here on my own, and in the other side of Holland, that's where all the practice circles were. So I was like, all my colleagues or student colleagues and that, they were all having these practice circles. All I could do. So I said, what can I do? All I could do was sit in the power. So for the first year, I couldn't practice. Second year, I couldn't practice. And the third year, I couldn't practice. All I could do was sit in the power. And when I came back to do demonstrating with my peers, I'd give this demonstration, and there'd come some amazing amount of energy through, and there came a lot of information through, and it was all correct. And they said to me, wow, you must have practiced a lot. I said, no, I just sat in the power. And I found on the flip side of that, the people that practiced a lot ended up catching themselves early. Oh, it's not good enough, I'm failing, I'm not, because they weren't sitting in the power, you see. So they had more practice moments, but not moments to empower themselves.
To energize their aura, to energize rather than to meditate and calm, we really want to energize that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, that's where I need to be a bit more disciplined in sitting in the power. Yeah, I'm going to use some of your techniques. And and
Yeah.
challenges. I love it. I love
Well,
it.
you remember the Arthur Finley where we sat in the power out
Oh
there
my,
in the sunshine?
oh my God!
Yeah,
I remember we were in the grass. I think we had a
yeah,
break, a tea break
yeah,
or something. Yeah, I do remember that. That was beautiful,
yeah,
absolutely beautiful. And I was just like, wow,
yeah,
this guy's got it going here. And I was very impressed. I was
yeah,
very impressed, and I thought, wow,
yeah.
I got to learn more from this guy. So let's see. We're at our hour, so
Yeah.
probably need to wrap it up. I know that
Yeah.
it's what time is it in Germany now?
The time
6.
is now six, just after six.
Time for dinner. Well, tell everyone, we're going to tell everyone about some upcoming events for you, how they can reach you, where they can find you, and then we'll go to some questions and wrap it up. How does that sound?
O- Okay, sounds great. So just to let people know, if they wanted to get in contact with me, you could find me on jasongoldsworthy.com. Quite easy to find. You can find me via Facebook on my Facebook page. I also have a group on Facebook that you can join. It's all about mediumship development, and I share my YouTube videos in there. And I look for questions, and my whole YouTube channel is about questions and answers to do with mediumship. So if anyone has a question that they'd like to ask, and they can ask me on my YouTube channel, I make photos of the questions and I make sure that I answer those questions on my YouTube channel, so people get answers to their questions on the YouTube. So that's my YouTube channel. That's also just Jason Goldsworthy YouTube. You
Okay.
can find me on Instagram under my name as well, and I think that's about it. I think that's about
It
it.
sounds like me in the sense that we're using our name as the
Yeah,
platform, like
yeah, yeah,
kevinpaulpsychicmedium.com. The
yeah,
same thing for YouTube. Instagram I use, but I kind of use it most for my beekeeping activities,
yeah,
and then put some psychic medium, interesting things and goodies in there.
yeah,
Um, but all right, well, we'll definitely put this on our YouTube channels.
yeah,
So it's easy to get to you. It's easy, and I really do enjoy your YouTube, you know, 5 or 10 minute tune-ups, I call them. Let's
yeah.
just let's just see here. We've got some comments. A question is, do you believe some spirits can be earthbound or stuck? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's obviously a different thought about this. I don't think they're stuck. I do feel that they're there for a reason. I
Like
have known.
visiting?
Yeah, I like visiting. I mean, I have had, you see, in one way, I feel that everyone that passes to the spirit world, the moment they die, they're in the spirit world. They have guides and inspirers and loved ones that take care of them. That's what happens to all the people normally. But there was one thing I heard. I heard about a gentleman that stayed around a swimming pool and was causing a lot of havoc there, flickering of lights, doors were slamming, all this, that, and the other. And it wasn't until a medium went there to speak to him, and it wasn't the first medium, there was a few mediums before then, and they spoke to this guy from the spirit world, and they said to him, well, she said, what are you doing here? And he said, you know, I'm not. You're not sending me away. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. And she said, "Well, I don't want to send you away. I just want to know, is there anything I can do to help?" And he said, "Well," he told her the story. What happened? There used to be a building site there. He fell into a well and drowned because he couldn't get out because so because he drowned and they built a swimming pool there, he was afraid of people drowning. So that's why
Mm.
all this spirit stuff was going on. And then, so what happened was she spoke to him a few times, and he said, "Look, you've got to keep an eye on these lifeguards. They keep looking at the girls, and they should be keeping an eye on the people. Someone might drown." So they ended up moving the boys that were the lifeguards to the bath one to look at the kids, so that they could look after the kids, and they put the girls there. And after that, everything went quiet. So if there is any sort of earthbound experience or stuff going on, there's normally a reason behind it. And
Right.
that's what I'm trying to say. Like, is it that it's like visiting, but it's like they're there, but they're there for a reason. There's only a reason for it. So there's not. I don't believe in, like, earthbound spirits that are gonna suck us dry or anything. I believe more in in spirits that visit us,
I think so too, right?
and they have an intelligence and a reason for being there.
Right. I always say when investigating, and I do paranormal investigations,
Yeah,
my first question is, how can I help you?
yeah, yeah,
Rather than, make the lights go out, show me
exactly.
your present. I love how these TV shows and all these people do it. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
how can I help you? I have a
yeah.
question here from Claire. Claire Meadows. Will you be doing any online circles, Jason?
I do have an online advanced circle starting soon. You can find that on my website. So I do have an online. That's only for advanced students, and I only have my mentorship teaching thing that I do with students at the moment.
What do you call
But
that program? What do you call that program where you teach your students?
the mediumship mentorship.
Okay. I call
Medium,
mine the Academy of Real Magic, Magick, just to make it interesting. It's all about marketing and
oh,
performing.
sounds good. Sounds good.
Real magic, and explain
Yeah,
what that real magic is. It's not on stage magic. So
exactly.
so you teach students, beginning students, and intermediate and advanced students.
Yeah,
I focus on beginning students. I call myself the elementary school teacher for psychic and mediums.
uh,
Get them started, get a good foundation, and then allow them to, when they go to, folks like you for more
yeah,
intermediate and advanced, they've got a good basic
yeah.
understanding of, the elements, the ethereal elements and their abilities.
Oh, but
So,
that's really good. So if Claire wants to contact me via the website, she can. That's no problem.
all right, great. There's someone named Ty Dagote. Any advice for people who have experienced it but have become out of tune emotionally and mentally? Mediumship can be a lot to handle if you don't get any training, he says. So, Ty, is this Ty one of your people?
No, I haven't met Ty before, but Ty, for your question, um, I have met people that have they were already not very stable in themselves, and when they came into contact with mediumship, they really needed to find some stability. And there are some people that I've advised them to work on themselves for a year,
Right.
or to speak to. I mean, you guys have like people you can speak to, therapists. So go speak to a
Right.
therapist for a year, do some work on yourself, and maybe in time it will come back naturally. So they are moments that have happened in the past with people that I know of, but having really good training is so important because you some people might be like double guessing themselves, doubting themselves, feeling insecure, saying am I crazy, and then when you get someone that can really explain it to you,
Right.
then they're like, so it's okay, that's normal, yeah, that's normal, you know.
Right. That's normal. And you're opening up, and these are some things that may happen. So you can turn those little things off. You don't have to turn the whole show off, but um,
Exactly.
yeah, that's a good coaching. That's why I say I wish I had that level of coaching that they offer now, like
Yeah,
folks like you and I do. I think we're kind of learning from, the experiences that we didn't have. Let's see.
yeah.
Misha says, so beautiful of your brother. So she loved your story about your brother.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. Um, and I love how we get spammers. This is such a popular, thing
Oh,
for folks to do, is to jump in and
yeah.
so
They
it
got nothing else to do, right, these spammers, right?
and they're usually from, they're it's quite interesting. So I'll have to cut
Hmm.
those people off. Let's see here. We're not doing any messages today, Becky. Rachel says hello from Montana. Someone from Montana. Have you ever been to that part of the world in Montana?
No, never been to Montana, but hello, Montana.
Rachel, I want to go to Montana as well. Let's see, Marvin, pat on the shoulder vibes. He liked that, when your brother was doing that.
Oh yeah, cool.
Let's see. People are wondering if we're doing readings. People love readings, and it's interesting to do them, just by looking at a name or maybe just a small
Mhm.
image. But let's see here. All right, we can't hear you. Robin's in there. It says Claire Meadows. I use Jason sitting in power daily.
Oh wow.
Is
So
that one of your meditations, or is that one of your exercises?
sitting in the power daily. If Claire Meadows is doing that on my YouTube channel, that's a good thing. Yeah.
So that's something, folks, anybody can do. You don't have to be a
Yeah.
member of Facebook.
No.
YouTube is so much easier. Florida, Becky from Florida says hello.
Hi, Becky from
Um,
Florida.
Claire says hello. Let's see here. Lorraine from Malta says hello.
Hi, Lorraine.
Kathleen says hello, Jason and Kevin. Um, Ty's like, have you ever heard of a person who gets spiritual taps? It's almost like a twitch in the body at specific times of the day. Spiritual taps, like physically feeling spirit. That's
Yeah.
possible, right?
Yeah. I
I
used to
think a
have that.
twitch is something else. You have that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't
No,
go with
not a
a
twitch.
twitch.
But I have had where spirit has just, just it feels like someone might poke you, or you felt suddenly the fingers on your body, or somewhere on your, or you may even feel that they're tapping you on your head, just a little bit. Whenever
Yeah.
spirits come closer, I felt things like that before.
And it's like I'm not a physical medium, so I don't. I get a sense of maybe someone who's had impact, but I don't
Yeah.
feel like I've actually had an impact to my head, or I feel the
Mm.
burning of
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
You're not that way as well, right? You get it's just gentle. I think
Yeah.
communication is very gentle with spirit. Don't you believe that?
I do. For me it's gentle as well. I mean, I can feel like, when people's got had certain impacts or something like that, but it's not like I don't suffer from picking up the information. Let's put it that
I
way.
don't either. I mean, some people are like, aren't you exhausted? The only time I'm exhausted if I've done it all day long at the psychic fair. I'm not exhausted from doing the work. I'm energized from
Mm.
doing the work. This is a ministry of healing that we're in, and it's energizing. And if people do get exhausted, then that's probably some training that they need to do
Yeah.
to, you know, contain themselves or to protect themselves or to close off when they are done, kind of a thing. And I like to teach opening and closing.
Oh, that's a
People,
good thing. That's a good thing. Opening and closing, Kevin, is such an important thing. It's good that you teach that.
it's
Because,
important. Some people are always open,
yeah,
and so we have to learn how to close them during their normal day. And then when it's time to open, I said it's not going to take you long to open your store, just with
yeah.
the thought. But it's
Hmm.
important to close and to protect yourself. Those highly empathic people. I'm usually closed until I open, so I literally have to pry the doors open
Yeah.
to get in there. Let's see, we got a lot of people from around the world saying hello. Alana.
Hello, everyone.
Well, that's it for questions right now. Well, I
Cool.
want to thank you so much, Jason, for coming on and being part of my uh, little show here. It was nice to catch up with you, to kind of get more in one-on-one chat with you. um,
Yeah.
I
Thank you
learned
for
so much.
inviting me.
I learned so much about what you do and how you do it and who you are. I know your sensitive spirit, and you've got such a wonderful spirit, and I definitely wanted to reconnect with you, and I'm so glad that you were able to come on today. So thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you, Kevin. It's lovely to meet you again.
Good to see you again, and get your second vaccine and enjoy your reopening in Germany. And
Certainly will.
it's going to be wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Continue with the good work that you're doing, and I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel and pass you the information so you can post it on yours, and your people can understand a little bit more about you and what makes you so special. I
Oh,
could see
thank
that from early on.
you.
You take care.
You take care. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye bye, Jason.
All right. Bye bye.